Boom! Ammar! Another live stream. You and me talking F1 to the masses. Well, all
We
four of you. Haha.
we're all about shaving away time, right? So there we go. This is the best way for us to get there faster. So DRS wide open, baby.
No more DRS
Boom.
next year. Ammar! Another
That's
live
wow.
stream.
This is
You
active
and
aero
me
then.
talking F1 to the masses.
What happened?
Well, all
We
four of you. Haha.
we're all about shaving away time, what happened? So there we go. This is the best way for
I
us
can
to get there
hear
faster.
I can hear
So
the stream
DRS
happening
wide
somewhere
open,
else.
baby.
No more
Oh
DRS next
wow,
year.
we've got
Ammar!
a viewer nearby.
Another
That's
live
whoever you are,
stream.
turn
I
it off,
wonder,
man.
I wonder
Active
who is
arrow.
doing that. Talking F1 to the masses.
This is a live. Maybe
Well,
someone will do
all
live
four of you.
analysis on us
Ah,
for a change.
there we go. Maybe this is two live streams in a row where we've had some technical issues. I promise they're all done now.
What? What technical issues? This is how we do things. This is how it is, man.
What,
These
tired?
regulations aren't. I mean, the 2026 regs aren't set in stone. We're still trying to figure things out. Big deal.
That's true. But are you saying that we are the FIA? We are constantly just making mistakes and having to paper over cracks.
Well, we are, and shout out to Human Flies here, dropping dropping in to say hi, watching darts. Of course, that's a better choice than watching us. But thanks for stopping by, saying hello.
Oh, human flies. Maybe you can talk us through the aerodynamics of a dart. Do they use
This is
ground?
your episode,
Are they
man.
using ground effects on those darts? What's the power
There's no,
unit?
it's all active arrow.
Beer, beer propelled.
Okay. Wow.
All right. So, Amar, we promised some chat about the 2026 regulations. Partly, this is because some of our chatters in the last video were quite keen on some technical stuff. But I want to try and make this as relevant to what we actually end up seeing on the track as possible. So what I'm going to do, Amar, is I am going to try and break it down as easy as I can, based on
Wow.
what I understand of things. And I'm going to get you to give me a verdict on each aspect of the 2026 regulations. And then what we'll do is that, not for teams, but for drivers, we will try and judge whether or not the new regulations will be good for a particular driver or not so good for a particular driver. And you're gonna tell me what you think. All right?
Sounds good. This will go well.
It could go well. But let's see. Let's see how it goes. All right. So we are entering a brand spanking new era of Formula One. The biggest regulation change ever is what we've been told. Okay, and it comes with a bunch of different things. So I'm going to hit you with the first easy bit, right? So the new Formula One cars are going to be narrower, shorter, and lighter than the 2025 machines. Your verdict on that, Amar? Good, bad, indifferent?
Good only if the Monaco pit stop fiasco goes away, right? Like that's what I want to see. Like, so yes, of course, in theory, good, because one of the things we've complained about when it comes to lack of overtaking, particularly on tracks like Monaco, like Imola, maybe, and maybe even you could put Singapore in there, because one of the reasons why Carlos was able to hang on to a win in 23 was because of the size of the car. Everything else, sort of being equal, right? So I would think that in theory, a car being lighter would also make it easier to drive, would also make it easier to go wheel-to-wheel combat, and therefore it should potentially be exciting. However, the question is how much smaller in the context of being able to overtake. And as in, again, coming back to Monaco, I believe, if I'm reading correctly, it's only about 20 to 30% smaller, or maybe even less, right? Or yeah, sleeker, right? So then I don't know, maybe I'd like to be able to see more overtaking. That's my takeaway, and so at least this gives me hope.
I mean, cars built for combat. You're talking like Brad Pitt now. This is.
I haven't watched the movie yet, by the way,
No,
just so you know.
you've seen it. You've seen the trailer, though, right?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's what I'm seeing. Wheel to
Yeah.
wheel. Evidently, it's gonna be black
Just
flag
by the
material.
way, has anyone else been watching the Formula One film? Because what I'd really like to do is a slightly ridiculous review video with yours truly. I think it would be great fun.
Yeah.
just to
I'm
absolutely
gonna
rip
make it a
into it.
point to go watch it.
But
I have put it in as a request with the head office where I work at with
all right,
my boss, and
all right,
it is under consideration. They're checking. They're gonna
they are
get back.
we are checking.
My boss is checking.
If you want to see a movie, you'll have to go to the movie. Um,
Fair point.
yeah, cool. That'd be freaking fun, man. Yeah, check this out, DBC. I'm hard to get off your bum and watch it. Yeah, before I have to review it with DBC. DBC,
And
you up for it? Let's do it. All right.
BBC, man, the wife won't let me. But,
So,
I hope she's not hearing.
what are you talking about? Why would she not be listening to our live
No,
stream?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. DBC's right. I really have to just make it a point to do it at some point. Yeah.
Indeed. So, in answer to your question, you're right. It's not a massive drop in weight. It's only 32 kilos minimum weight
Oh,
drop. So from
I said
800
percentage.
from 800 kilos to 768 kilos. Look, for me, that's still a win because
Really?
Formula One has been going up in weight year on year on year on year. So actually going down in weight,
What?
even if it's a small amount, is definitely a step at least in the right direction. I don't think it's going far enough, but at least it is not a weight increase, and that for me is good. What I would love is for us to get back to those 650, 600 kilo machines that we had back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But
Driverless cars.
I'm
basically.
not. Yeah, I'm not sure that's ever really going to happen. I don't see how it can happen.
No.
MBS has been talking about us going back to simpler, lighter, cheaper V8 engines. But the problem is that even if you reduce the weight of the power unit, whatever shape or form that takes, right now F1 cars are about as safe as they've ever been. And partly that's because we've got a huge number of safety structures and crash structures and mandatory limits to where things need to be, which means that you're never going to keep Formula One as safe as it is now, or safer as we want it to get as speeds increase inevitably over the next few years, and keep the weight down at the same time. Those two things are diametrically opposed in terms of what they're trying to do. But one of the things that has been talked about is just mandating a slightly unrealistic minimum weight and then just making the Formula One teams hit it, because ultimately they'll complain about it, but if that's the rule, they'll just do it. So yeah, that's my thought about that. But yes, lighter cars, smaller cars, more importantly, to your point about being able to overtake at tracks like Monaco. Yeah, if we're going in that direction, I'm all for it. So that for me is cool. It sounds to me like you're cool with the idea. You just don't think it's going to make any difference.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to make any difference because that's like me talking about losing weight and going out and getting a haircut and getting back on the weighing scale, right? Like, yeah, I mean, yes, it's true, but you know what? I see the other side too, is like, what can you conceivably do to make these cars lighter? Unless you get rid of the battery, I mean, that's pretty much where it comes down to now, right? Like, I mean, it's no battery or no driver. Like, pretty much that's what you're gonna have to do to really make a shift there. Because you're right, these cars are safer, and we've seen how these safety measures have played out in multiple accidents, right? Bahrain 22, was it Joe Guan Yu in 23 in Silverstone? Like, which was it, 23 or 24? I can't remember. Maybe it's 23. So I mean, I think that's proof enough that the halo is needed, as are other structures as well. I mean, even the Jack Doohan accident in Japan earlier this year, right? So I think that's fair, and I mean, I guess this, to a certain extent, this is what you're going to get unless you switch out of these turbo hybrid engines and go back to a fully fueled version, which may not completely be off the table. But for now, this is what we've got. So this is what we got to deal with.
Yeah, I do think you'll get a massive weight saving if you ditch all the battery gubbins, and you can do that. But maybe that's something that's going to happen in the future, but certainly not for next year. Because in fact, the power unit for next season becomes ever more complex, despite us trying to make it less complex. And what are the motivations for that? Well, Audi coming in, there seemed to be a prerequisite for them that we get rid of the MGUH, which has had zero road relevance to any of the manufacturers that are currently in Formula One and have a road car division as well. And it was felt, Audi certainly felt, that if they kept the MGU-H when everybody else has already had loads of development time up, since 2014 to develop an MGU-H, they thought, look, there's no way that we can catch up with their technology, so can we just junk that nonsense and we can all start from scratch? So that seems to be why they've done it. But further to that has been this ongoing thing for Formula One to be net carbon zero by 2030. And so the power units on one side have an internal combustion engine, which is a 1.6 litre V6 turbo. Ammar, I want you to tell me what you think of a 1.6 litre V6 turbo. Good or bad or indifferent?
I would say largely TBD because I want to see how it'll work out. But if I'm reading things correctly, there is with good suspicion that these cars will be slower. No, so I think in theory they're more efficient, but they're going to end up being slow at least to begin these rule sets, right? And I'm not a fan of those. Like, so I mean, I get the idea of us having more sustainable solutions, but I also worry that we're now at that point of, we're so focused on energy management that I wonder if it takes away from the racing, right, Chaz? Like, and I don't know what it'll mean in the race exactly, but it is believed that drivers will have to do a lot more managing, right?
Ammar, you're jumping ahead. We'll come to it.
All right,
Come
but
to
I'm
it.
just saying.
I just want to know.
Spoiler alert, guys.
I just want to know what you think of the engine format. The 1.6 litre V6 turbo.
Not a fan, but
why not? Why are you not a fan of a 1.6 litre V6 turbo?
I wanted to be silver. I wanted to be simpler, not more complicated. That's why.
I'm just talking about the engine bit. Don't forget the hybrid gubbins. I'm just talking about the engine.
Well, I want engines that make an engine noise. So I would say not a fan.
Not a fan. Okay. I'm in agreement.
V8s, 10s are better.
Yeah, I'm in agreement for what it's worth. It's not for me about the number of cylinders. It's the fact that we have a turbo bolted on. I don't know how much. I don't know how much you guys. Ooh.
Yeah, we're good.
And did. Oh my God, what is going on? And did not have a turbo. So the problem with a turbo, the way that a turbo works is that it takes the exhaust gases and it uses those to spin a turbine, and then that pumps air back into the combustion chamber. And as you all know, I'm sure, for combustion to happen, the way that the pistons and the cylinders and all that work is that you have to have a fuel and air mixture. So the more air you have, the richer that combustion is going to be, the more powerful it's going to be, the more power you get. But the problem with doing that is that where does the turbo get all those gases from? It gets them from the exhaust. And when you're taking energy out of the exhaust, that means there's less energy to be made into sound. So therefore, you get a quieter engine.
We should have labeled this Engine 101.
Yeah, man. I've been wanting to talk about this for freaking ages. Here we are.
You don't say. No, I think that's very well explained, right? And I think, yeah, this is the trade-off we all gave up. What is it? When was the last time we had V10s? Was it 2004?
No, 05.
5?
Well, in fact, 2006, because Toro Rosso got a special dispensation to run a V10 for an extra season.
Yes, I forgot about that. Oh, yeah, that's funny. And it's a joke. All of it is a joke, really. But you're right. I mean, look. Look. The one thing that Ben Salem has said is we may get back to the V8s, which I would take, right? So yeah, I'm with you. I want to go to racetracks feeling like we are at a racetrack. Like I am all
you
for
want
technology.
Earplugs.
Yes,
and
I
if
want
not
earplugs.
You want to go home with your ears bleeding and your but a giant grin on your face. I love it.
And buy them the best noise canceling whatever headphones that can be, and then for them to be still crying after everything goes on there.
Daddy, my ears hurt. Shut up and listen to the V10. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, but it's not just me. The drivers are complaining about it too, no? So
the drivers are complaining about it, but we're going to come back to that in a second because I'm not sure that I really care whether the drivers are complaining or not.
Oh my goodness! Really? Wow.
Okay, so that's just one half of it. So look, verdict on that from our end is that we would much rather have a normally aspirated engine that doesn't have a turbo within it. But in terms of Formula One, keeping up with its efficiency drive, I think we're probably not going to get that. Certainly in this rule set. But there is one thing that they could do is dump the fuel flow limit, because the fuel flow limit currently means that there's no point in revving out these engines. So on top of having a quiet exhaust because you've got a turbo, these engines also don't go beyond about 13,000 RPM. Do you know what BMW's V10 was revving up to in 2004 when Juan Pablo Montoya at that time set the fastest lap ever around Monza? Do you know what they were revving to?
No, you're gonna have to tell me.
21,000.
Oh.
And they're currently revving to between 10 and 12,000. That's rubbish.
I mean, if you've been at a racetrack pre and post, V10s, you can tell. Even V8s, you can tell. Like,
it's
when
true.
we were at the track in Austin, right? And you'll be at Hungary in a couple of weeks, but it's just not the same feeling. I mean, you still get some of the same noise, but it's just not the same.
It's
feeling.
true, and I definitely think that the people that have gone to that are of that vintage talk much louder, and have to lip read you a lot more. But that's just the price you have to pay. All right, so let's move on from the engine bit of it. The controversial thing is that the hybrid bit will suddenly become much, much more important. So rather than just having a bolt-on hybrid, which is going to produce about 120 kilowatts of energy, which is what they do at the moment, it's going to be a 50-50 split. We're certainly in qualifying, unless... and the race as well, unless the regulations get altered. But it's definitely in qualifying, it will be 350 kilowatts for a 50-50 split of power delivery from the internal combustion engine, or ICE, and the hybrid unit. And before you answer whether you think that's good or not, we have to have a talk about how you get 350 kilowatts, right? So first of all, you're going to dump the MGU-H, which in and of itself is actually quite a small unit. So you're not saving a lot of weight by getting rid of it, but that's a minor weight saving. But all of the weight that you've saved and the complexity that you've saved, you're going to have to make up for by having a much, much bigger battery. And as we all know, batteries are what adds weight to these, to a electric power unit.
And downforce and tie rate. But another topic for another day.
Goes hand in hand with the weight, right? So you're going to have a bigger battery, and that battery is going to have to supply much more power, which means that you're going to have to regenerate that power around each lap. So the concern has been that in trying to harvest that energy to try and get back up to that 350 kilowatt at somewhere around that lap, the drivers are going to have to do funky things, such as there will be revving in the middle of a corner. There will be, as Max Verstappen has suggested, changing down in the middle of a straight. There will be drivers perhaps braking 3, 4, 5 lengths.
Charles Leclerc doing Lyco in 2026 too, because that's what he's going to have to do. Well, sorry, man.
He's probably already doing it.
He's practicing for 26 from now. They're both Ferrari drivers. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do this next year anyway. Might as well start
that's
now.
It. We'll just start. Braking halfway down the straight. So so that is potentially what will happen. First thoughts on that? Are you happy with that? Do you think that's good? Do you think that's bad? Or do you think that's actually like indifferent? You don't care?
think this will be track dependent, no? Like, I mean, I could see street tracks and street races. Baku, Baku. I mean, I'm just thinking about Monaco, Singapore, maybe even Hungary. I think on tracks like that, it should be interesting. I guess you'd have more options. But I'm imagining a track like Spa or like Monza. These guys are going to be running. They're going to have to come down on the slope and like just lift. They have no power. It's not even lift, right? It's like just hit the pedal. Oh no, there's no
got
power.
half the power I had before. So I'm going to have to downshift to try and.
So this is what I meant initially when I was saying like this kind of takes away the racing element of it, right? Because Now, I mean, what one of the things we've complained about in this era, right? Particularly in most of these 12 races, is a lot of it comes down to tire management. And now I think you're going to get that, but with energy, because there'll be times where drivers will will hit the pedal, so to speak, and then the other times they won't, because they will either be out of power or they'll have to be in regen mode. And I don't like that personally. Like I feel like that just adds, you're not going to see fast driving, right? Which is kind of what we're here to see. Speed is what we're here to see. And so I don't, yeah, but again, this is the way we're reading it. May not end up to be that way, but I just think, again, tracks like Monza, for example, I think Baku would also kind of be in there. What are the ones with straight, Jeddah, Las Vegas? Oh my God, there's so many of these now that
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think
Jeddah
about it.
doesn't have any braking moments at all, really,
They
does it? So
don't
that's
have
going
at
to be an
all.
absolute
Yeah.
nightmare. And look, so the FIA have come up with a whole bunch of different things, right? They've talked about what's it called? I need to. What's it called? Ah, wait. There's a word for what it's called. It's called
Is it limiting?
the turn down ramp rate. So what will
What
happen?
the hell is that?
What it will do is, down a straight you'll have maximum power. So actually these cars will accelerate out of a corner like bam, real quick. But what can happen is that, using all that battery power down the straight, because you have no way to harvest it anymore, you'll run out of that power halfway down the straight. So what the FIA have suggested is that what they'll do is, once you reach a certain speed, I think it's something like 300 kilometers per hour, which is 186 miles per hour in old money, the
It'll cut
amount,
off?
well, no, the amount of power that the hybrid can supply will be turned down a little bit. But I mean, you're not going to notice this as a viewer. You and I are not going to notice this, but what will happen is that they will have slightly less end of straight speed available to them because of this. But the mitigation for that is the aero stuff, which is that because they've got active aero, and that means that on the straights there will be less drag, because the wings will be skinnier. Actually, they'll need less power to power the car along the track anyway. So
What?
for those, does that make sense? No?
It does make sense, but that the logic doesn't make sense.
What do you mean?
You're telling me they would go slow, just slower, because they would not need to go
No,
faster?
no, no,
But
no,
what
no,
if
no,
they're
no, no, no,
chasing
no.
each other?
To maintain this,
Oh, to maintain the same
same
speed.
speed,
Okay.
you need less power. But
But
also there's an aerodynamic limit to how fast you're going to go, right? Because at some point, no matter how much power you put into the system, the car will hit a brick wall, aerodynamically speaking, and it just won't go any faster. Also, the gearing of the ice will have an impact on that
dictate
as well,
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? So there's always
Oof.
a brick wall that you end up hitting. So that's what they're mitigating it with. And look, Ammar, the problem
This
for
is going to screw up our
the,
telemetry data, like your telemetry
yeah,
analysis.
yeah.
You might as well.
I
You
might
have to retire
I might
that
have to
bit.
just retire on a high, or not high. But
Low.
my problem with this is that, and I think Ed Straw wrote about this in the race a few like last year, in fact. The problem with all of the power unit rules, and even the aero rules, which we're going to come to in a second, is that they have been created to make this 50-50 split possible. You're having loads of compromises in terms of the energy deployment, the regen, the aero, all of it, to try and make this headline 50-50 split possible. Whereas if you just had a more realistic, or even just a different, power unit composition entirely, actually it would just, everything would be much easier. You'd have cars that are more raceable, don't have this complex kind of turn down ramp rate nonsense. And we're going to talk about manual override mode in a second, which I'm sure you're going to love talking about. You wouldn't have to have all of that stuff if you just had a better power unit as a baseline. So that's why I don't like it. I think the premise that they started from was wrong, and they're having to make loads of compromises to now correct for a flawed power unit principle in the first place. Anyway, that for me is why I don't like this. But the aero rules might help us out, right? Because aero ultimately dictates whether a car can follow or not. So I just want to do a quick rewind. I can see. Oh yeah, actually, before I do that, Johan has just said, how will that work out in the rain? No energy left. Well, I think the bigger problem the bigger problem in the rain is actually going to be the fact that, like, what do you do? Like, currently, we get rid of DRS down the straights when it's unraceable, right? So what will end up happening in the rain is that, look, they're just going to have to lock it in the high downforce setting. So will they have enough power to be able to power a high downforce car now down the straights? I guess the flip side to that is that they're just not going to be going as fast anyway.
Yeah, so it won't matter.
Yeah, so maybe that will
Yeah, that's a fair question. It really is.
Okay, so anyway, so final.
Before you move on to the aero, right?
Yeah, hit me.
Who do you think this element of the sort of the engine breakdown helps? Like, because a lot of chatter around.
Who do you mean? Do you mean in terms of
like in which manufacturer?
I mean, if the rumors are to believe, it's going to be Mercedes, isn't it? They had the best integration between their turbo hybrid, their engine and their hybrid power unit of anybody. They had the best compromise. They were able to integrate that better than anybody else. They've got the best experience of it.
Well, it also looks like there's a limit on it, right? Like I wonder if a lot of, well, I mean, everything that you're explaining to me takes away. It becomes so ubiquitous, right? That are you taking away some the element of teams doing something different slightly with the way they manage energy?
Well, it's going to be more
very
complex.
restricted.
No, I think it's going to be more complex now. Actually, a lot of it will be handed over to the driver.
Yeah. Ugh. Wow.
Well,
have those debates next
wow,
year.
tell me that's not a good thing. I think that.
Well, I don't know if it's a good thing. Is it a good thing?
What's an added element that the driver in the car has to contend
It's
with?
not one element. It's like 15 elements.
Brilliant. Why is that not a good thing? These are the best drivers in the world, aren't they? Is that not
I guess
what
it's
they're
good for
meant to
Ferrari.
be?
They don't have to worry about the strategy team now.
Yes, that's right. We can just hear Ricardo. What's his name again? Adami telling Lewis, press your mom to do the overtake.
Oh my god!
Hit your mom.
I really hope there are no Italian fans. If they are, I'm sorry.
What are you talking about? That was a great accent.
I don't know.
It probably wasn't. It was probably pretty awful. All right. So just quickly going on to aero. So aero is important to us because really it's about overtaking. So if we go back to 2022, the whole point of the new aero regulations was to switch everything to ground effect, having these long Venturi tunnels that meant that the downforce from the car was generated under the car, not from the overbody aero, that would then affect the car following and therefore reduce the amount of downforce produced by the car that's following. And if you were able to do that, then the car behind would be able to follow a bit closer. And actually in 2022, that was great. It worked.
It did.
But then the teams started to understand how they could claw back all of the stuff they had in previous generations, specifically outwash. And outwash is the act of essentially pushing the front tyre wake out the side of the car, and that then affects the car following you. All that dirty, turbulent, outwashed air is just going to hit the car behind, and then you're not going to be able to follow quite as easily. And we've started to hear more and more complaints about that. So first of all, what they're going to do is reduce the amount of downforce total. So the cars will have less downforce in the corners, and that will probably reduce speed by about a second. So the lap time will probably come down by about a second around your average 1 minute 30 track. And we're switching to, rather than they're switching
no
to
DRS.
Well, they're switching to a format where rather than the elements being allowed to outwash air, it's going to inwash that air under the car to feed a slightly different underfloor, which we're going to come to in a second, right? So you're going to get inwash, which will mean less turbulent air going to the cars behind, less downforce overall, which means that the cars are a bit more twitchy, and the drivers won't be able to just go flat out through cops, which they're able to do currently, which all in all should allow the cars to follow a bit closer. So although we're talking about flatter floors, and a less powerful Venturi, there still will be a Venturi effect. So there still will be ground effect, just less powerful than what we have right now, but hopefully with less outwash and therefore less turbulent air going to the car behind. So they should be able to follow closer. To me, that's good. But what do you think?
Yeah. No, I think that's good. I think that gets to what we want to see happen, which is more overtaking, more close following, more close racing. Well, that there's nothing to disagree there. That's probably one of the great changes that they've made. What's caught your attention in the chat? Something's caught your attention in the chat. What's going on? Hey,
Michael,
Michael.
but Michael doesn't like my accent. Oh, I'm sorry, Michael.
Oh my God. It's his great grandparents, he's saying.
Oh
Look
my
at that.
God, my Lord. I'm
Mhm.
I'm sorry, Michael's
Well,
great
I'm glad they're
grandparents.
listening. Hello, Grandma, Grandpa.
Wait, are they
We're not
actually
too bad.
listening, Michael? Seriously, let us
It
know.
says my great grandparents too. My goodness. Oh my God. Well, getting offended by our accent. I mean, we do,
Uh
do lead the league in that.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
that
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. We definitely do. So yeah, what do you think? Good, bad, indifferent. What do you think?
Yeah, it's good. It's good because what you said is exactly correct. Like when cars are going through cups, they're not going to be able to do what they're doing. Although I do think that as time passes, we'll see that part, that evolution come back because teams will inevitably find a
And
way to bring that
I
in.
agree with this, but what I want is for the FIA and F1 in general to be a bit more like militant about changing the rules, the aero rules, to fix for those uh, you know evolutions that the
Hmm.
teams come up with. That's one
Hmm.
thing that in this current regulation set they haven't. So FIA single seat president
Nicholas
Nicolas
Tambas.
Tombassis says back in 2023 when outwash started to become much more evident, and the front wings were becoming more complex, and the strakes and the floor fences were becoming much more complex, not just to seal the floor but to create more outwash. Said, look, there's no point in us changing the rules because it will take years for us to get all the teams to agree to a rule change. By the time we get there, it's time for a regulation change anyway. So actually, it
Yeah,
just makes more sense to
I
bring it in
mean,
for the new regulations. Which, yeah, it makes sense in principle, Amara, but actually what ends up happening is that we end up with a year like this year that promised so much and yet the cars can't follow. It's a pain in the bum.
well, but this is going to happen even in this next rule set. It's going to happen because what do teams chase after? Downforce. They do all the time. They're going to continue to find
Yeah, so,
different ways to
but then
do it.
it's
And the
but
question is, yes, you'll restrict them in doing X, Y, and Z, and they'll find something different. Like that's just how it is. And that's okay. That's part of the sport too.
yeah,
Like,
but that's
but
why for me there needs to be
flat
a
bottoms,
robust
that's very
FIA that says, nah,
I mean,
we'll change the rules in a
yeah.
regulation set to correct for those things. They
Yeah,
have
no,
to.
that's fine. I
They
mean,
have
they
to.
have to. They have to hit reset, right? Like they're gonna hit reset every 4 years, 5 years, whatever, 6 years, whatever it is, right? I mean, these last rule sets were affected by COVID, but uh, you know, that's fine, and that's a good thing. I mean, look, the FIA should be constantly chasing ways for tightening the field up. That's what they should be doing, and not just in qualifying time, but also on race day too. Like that's what you want to see. That's how you get Hulkenberg winning. I mean, that's what you want,
That
or
is that
on the
is. I
podium.
mean, I
It
mean
felt
that is
like
what I
he'll
want.
win, but
And look, that we haven't even talked about the budget cap, and maybe at some point we will talk about that. But that should allow for the teams to at least stay sort of fairly bunched and evolve together, as it were. Although I still think what will happen is that one team will be out and out better than everybody else at the beginning of this rule set. That's just always how it works. But if they're able to limit the team's ability to create more turbulent air, then actually as the teams get closer,
so
hopefully we'll still see them following as closely as they do at the beginning of this rule set. Sorry, go on.
so Shazda, explain this to me.
Mm.
Now that the cars will be much more closer to the ground by design,
No, no, no,
correct?
they won't.
No,
So
they
okay,
won't be.
so let's quickly
Now,
talk.
so
Should we get into that because I think the
yeah,
underfloor is
yeah, but
important.
and let me ask my question too, because
Yeah,
you
yeah,
you
hit me.
might just ask. I'm wondering what this does on bouncy
Yeah.
tracks,
So
aka
yeah,
porpoising.
yeah, yeah. So this is important, right? So oh wow, Nawal, hello. Before we get into that, Nawal has just thank you so much. That's so generous. Which drivers will regenerative braking favour the most? That is a good
Ooh.
question. I think probably it's probably gonna favour those drivers one that have been used to doing this for a longer period of time. So the drivers that have been through various rule sets, and there's only 1 or 2 drivers that have done that. That's Lewis and Fernando. But also there will be a case of those drivers, I think, that brake later and have a better feel for the finer points of braking into a corner. That's who it's going to help. And those drivers are your Lewis's and actually your Landos. Lando also likes to brake super late. Whereas I think we're going to talk about this in the last sort of half of this, which I promise we'll get to it, is which drivers we think that the 26 regs are actually going to benefit more and who they're going to hurt more. But we're going to come to that. So, Noel, thank you so much. Great question. And
thanks for your support, too.
Yeah, thank you so much for your support.
It's a beautiful surprise.
Yeah, I love it. But just quickly talking about the
flat floors.
Yeah. So currently the problem with the Venturis is that they create the only way that you accelerate air as quickly as you can through those Venturi tunnels is to run the car as low to the ground as possible. Great, but to do that, the more downforce you create, the more it pulls the car down to the floor. And as soon as you do that, you then break that seal, you stall the underfloor, and then the car pops back up again. That's why you get that bouncing, that porpoising. And you have to try and prevent that. You have to run the car super stiff. And as James Allison has pointed out, that leaves you with very few options in terms of setup. But what the new underfloor will do, because it's flatter and therefore you don't rely quite so much on the Venturi, is that you can run the car a bit higher and not quite as stiff, and it means you have more options in terms of setup, which means that although the overall downforce of the car reduces, actually the sensitivity of the car also reduces. It means that you can run it at a different range of ride heights and still expect the same performance out of it, which is not what you get right now. That makes sense?
Yep.
So it means that a driver and their own little engineering team will be able to have more scope to change the setup of the car and allow them to have more options on the track. So I think that can only be a good thing. And the final thing just to talk about is the movable aero, which again I think it's a tricky one, because I think in the straights it's not going to have the benefit that you want it to have, because actually the slipstream effect, as Craig Scarborough sort of explained to us on Twitter, the slipstream effect won't be quite as good, but the drivers will have manual override mode. It's like KERS. That I think I'm actually quite excited about. It's just why does it have to have that stupid acronym? Why does it have to be MOM?
Yeah. It's made for you to.
Man, it's gonna be so annoying.
Not annoying, man. We're in danger of getting blacklisted on YouTube.
Mate,
that's what's gonna happen.
Literally every driver is gonna hear, hit your mum now. Hit the mum. Hit the mum.
We do not endorse anything like that, Shez. Come on.
But that is literally what they're going to be saying.
We're gonna get.
But that should be quite fun. I quite like KERS. I thought, people really didn't like KERS when it came out in 2009. I freaking loved it. I thought it added a nice little bit of spice, a little bit of variety to how you race.
I love that I could see it. I could see it on my screen. Like,
exactly.
I felt like I wanted to hit it. Like, right? Like,
just like you have in IndyCar, you'll have a push to pass button. It'd be brilliant.
Push the button.
It adds another little bit of variability that is under the driver's control. Right, okay. So Michael asks, how much higher will these cars be? Well, I mean, currently they're running about sort of like 4 or 5 millimeters off the ground, like up to 2 millimeters off the ground.
Big.
So they're talking sort of 8 or 9 millimeters at least, I think. So still no more than a gnat's hair above the ground, but higher than they are now, and certainly enough to give them a bit more option. Johan said it depends on the car. Max has a very good feeling for braking. This RBR car has balance problems under braking.
We should get to the driver part, because that kind of goes
so let's have a little chat about that, because what I've heard, this is from some of the articles in like UK based publications. I have to say, this is where I do agree with your British bias side of things. I think every time a new regulation set comes out, suddenly it's going to be great for Lewis Hamilton, and he's suddenly going to regain his form. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know about that, because I never see the result on track. At least I haven't done for like the last 4 years. So I'm much more in hope than
Are you
expectation.
just trying to appease the rest of us? Is that what you did then?
No,
Like
no. It's just reality. I'm just like, I hear it all the time. But
Okay.
but what I've heard is that, oh yeah, because Lewis likes to late brake. He doesn't like to have the rear ride height quite as low, and he does like a stiff car, but he doesn't like to have to run it quite as low. That actually the way that the current cars like to be thrown into a corner is not going to be how the new cars, which rely much more on the overbody aero, the front and rear wing, creating a downforce in the corners, much more reliant on that. He will enjoy driving that car a bit more. It will be more responsive to his late braking, early turn-in sort of style, where he puts loads of energy into the front axle to get the car turned into a corner. It will be more relevant for a driver like him. Whereas for the drivers that have really flourished under the ground effect era, your sort of Charles Leclerc, who famously said, "Look, I don't even care about the porpoising. Actually, I barely notice it," but he was able to manipulate the car much earlier on turning and have better, just live with a looser rear end. Shez Cooper was all that. That's true.
It is true.
But the thing is, I don't even believe it. I just don't think it's going to make any difference.
Can I defend you for a quick second?
Sure.
I mean, Lewis has struggled in this set, right? So in this rule set, and so the next rule set represents a lot of what this rule set does not.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
maybe
true.
outside of the
It's true.
I think it's a fair comment, but I mean, I'm with you, man. The idea that we start jumping right into who it's going to benefit, as if they're if it's either Lewis or Max, right? No one else is allowed to benefit. Like George is.
Okay, but we're going to come to those drivers as well, because I've definitely got some.
What does that mean?
I definitely think that they are worth talking about. But I think, Max is like the archetypal turn the car in early, brake early,
Sure.
and float the car into the apex to gain that rotation and get on the throttle earlier than his rivals. Will the new rule set sort of favour that style of driving quite as much? I don't think so, but to be fair, Max was doing that style of driving in the previous rule set, and it was amazing. So maybe
so was Charles too, by the way, and
exactly.
So was George.
I think rather than it being a hindrance to drivers like Max, actually I think it just means that drivers for whom the current rule set didn't work, it just brings them back up to the level that they were at pre-ground effect, and I think that's probably the way to look at it if it's if you're going to play it, but if you're talking about a driver like Fernando, that is it's horses for courses.
I mean,
really.
Fernando now has Newies, so according to you, he should be favored. I mean, I have a number one according to that.
But also he's a great adapter, isn't he? Like he's never quite on the ragged edge of pace.
All right. Okay.
He's never quite out and out the fastest, but he gets close enough to it to be competitive in any rule set, really. Like there hasn't really been a rule set where you kind of gone, oh, Fernando's just fallen off a cliff and just doesn't understand how to drive these things. But there's also never been a rule set where you've been like, right, he's the out and out fastest under that rule set. I just haven't seen it.
I think the only reason you're picking Lewis and Fernando is because we've seen them be successful in that version of the rule set. If you would, with regen, I mean, and there hasn't quite been regen in the way that it is going to be there now. But I mean, we have to see. I mean, this is a new crop of drivers, right? How many rookies are in the field? There's like 6 of them, right? And then they're even in the top contenders. Your Charles, your George Russell. Even the 2 McLaren drivers. I mean, I think it sort of remains to be seen what the effect. And then also don't forget that while we're talking about just regen, there are other elements at play too, right? And so not one thing by itself will make a difference. It's the combination of those things.
The biggest thing is the fact that these are not going to be slightly lighter, slightly narrower cars, where with less sensitivity to ride height, and we'll have more reliance on overbody aero, which is what we were using before. So there's more there's more options in terms of how you get the car turned in and how you get the car rotated, which is the key to going fast in a Formula One car. Whereas with the current ground effect cars, there's kind of one way to do it, and if you don't like that way of doing it, you're just not going to be very good.
It's pretty
But
much out.
Johan has kind of hit the nail on the head. Adaptability is key, and I think there is one driver on the grid that loves a bit of adaptability, and it's not Fernando. It's Fernando's heir in making. And that, my friend, is George Russell.
Oh my God.
I want to see your face. Wait for it. I'm going to give you full screen.
Oh my God. Where did we go to? I mean, what did Max? Is Max retired already? Like that? What happened? Like, does he retired? Like
No, man.
you just went straight to Russell? Like
No. Look,
oh my
I'm
God.
not going to turn around at any point and say that Max is going to be like flummoxed by these new rules. He'll be great. He'll still be the GOAT. But George is actually very, very good at adapting to a new.
You spent 50 minutes doing this for you to get back to Russell, really.
Yeah, because I can't help it. But George has shown across different, not just different rule sets, because he's only really had 2 rule sets, but also against in cars that are of different ability, different potential, that actually you can get the absolute most out of them. He did that in the Williams that couldn't do anything. Reference Spa 2021, where he stuck the car on the front row of the grid. Dear listeners, you're gonna have to just put up with Ammar's face when I talk to talk about George Russell. Even when I'm trying to make a good point, I think it's a good point anyway. Ammar's face is gonna do this. Anyway, but he's done that in a Williams. Then when he got stuck in he got shoved in a Mercedes, he was able to really do the business in that. Like, he should have won that race. And he was definitely a better performer in that race than Valtteri Bottas, who had been in that car for years. And then you get into the ground effect era. He gets into a new car with much fewer options, one single way really to drive that car. And he's been on a par with Lewis Hamilton across the entire time that he's been in that car. And even in this season where, okay, he's up against a rookie teammate, as highly touted as he is, who has to deal with coming into a new team and the difficulty of this car, he has been the only other driver outside of Red Bull and McLaren that has actually won a race. So actually, I would put my money on him being another driver who, if Mercedes can deliver a car, and all the expectations are that they will, actually will be very, very potent in that new rule set, which again makes me so excited to see Max turn up and go to Mercedes next season and have George in the same car next to him. It will be explosive. It will be the best show in town. I guarantee it. Go on, Ammar. Tell me I'm wrong.
Are you done? Are you done? I mean, are we done with the George Russell segment? This segment was
George,
sponsored by
George.
Oh God, you went so far. I mean, I am the master of going down a rabbit hole, but you went so far off the whole. Like, we were talking about regen braking and who it might advantage or not, and then you just went into a whole soliloquy about how George and Mercedes are going to make. All right, okay. You know what? Well, we are a democratic show that way. So, my pick for who would benefit with this, since Johan mentioned adaptability.
Tell me.
The smooth operator. I think it's gonna make. Now look, am I saying he's gonna go and win? No. The question was, who is it gonna benefit? And we're not talking about who's gonna win the races or championships. I think that the way Carlos drives, I think that this rule set in particular, in general rather, and then regen braking, stuff like that, I think really goes up his
what?
in line with his.
Where does it go up?
Into his head.
Finish that sentence.
I don't have it for
How
Carlos
smooth
like
an
you do for
operator is
George.
he? Where the heck does it go?
I don't have it for Carlos like you do for George. Listen, so this goes right up his alley, right? His strength. He wants to be able to do things like that, and I think this rule set will benefit drivers that do not have the out and out speed per se, but have would like to have these tools that allow for them to be quicker. So I could see that benefiting him. But I think the other drivers, I mean, I think you're right. Lewis has done this in the previous rule set. Alonso has done it. Max has done it. So those are the obvious candidates. I think there on out, you just have a little bit of question mark as to how this is all going to work. And look, Shez, all of this boils down to how which manufacturer puts out the best engine, how the car is set up.
Oh,
Like there's going to
Ammar.
be many.
Okay. I
Okay,
mean,
all
stop
right,
being all
okay.
logical, right?
All
I
right,
do
tell
agree
me.
with you about
Oh my
Carlos, though.
goodness.
I think that's a good shout. I think the problem with Carlos, though, is he's a guy that adapts on the fly. Like you kind of he has to
There's
work
a
it
lot of
out
adapting on the fly.
but he has to work it out as he goes, race to race to race. So like he'll start off not quite there, and gradually he'll work up to it.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, we're just talking about adaptability. It takes time to adapt. You have to see to adapt. You can't just adapt
But I think
before.
there are drivers like Fernando and I genuinely think George who will just get in a car and just be like, okay, this is what this car
Okay.
needs,
All
and it will
right.
happen.
I'm gonna.
But there's evidence for this, isn't there? Like every time that Carlos has been plunged into a new situation, it takes him some time to get on top of the machinery, and he's never quite at the ragged edge of performance, even though he gets close to it, and it takes him time to
Fair.
get there. And that's why I think like Carlos has been overlooked in the grand scheme of things by top teams when it comes to we need a lead driver. And even at Williams, you know, he's being overshadowed a little bit by Alex Albon. And it's because of that trait that it takes him time to get there. Although when he gets there, he's devastating. It just takes him time to get to that stage.
Well, let's see. I mean, this season is only halfway over.
Well,
So
I think the advantage for him is that he will have tenure at Williams, right? He'll be in there from the start. You know, being able to dictate a bit of development, being able to say, look, this is what I think is faster. And we already know that Ferrari seemed to listen to the development that he sort of pushed. He just has to be able to reap the fruits of that, which he wasn't able to at Ferrari. You know, Charles was the quicker driver even at the end of the season, even if Ferrari were listening to him in terms of development direction. He just needs to be able to do the same thing at Williams, because unfortunately in Formula One, having lots of brains is great, but nothing beats pace.
Pace. That's it. And that's what we've seen. And I think that's fine. And we will see what that looks like when the season arrives. So, but I think you're right. Lewis, Max, always going to be there. Alonso, I don't know. A lot of it depends on the car as well. George will be there too, of course, no doubt.
Trust me, if Fernando's still in an Aston Martin next season, he's going to be there or thereabouts, and he'll make the most of it. I guarantee it.
We're going to come back to the driver market silliness, because of course you can't have a whole lot of that. Eventually, we'll come back.
Indeed. Right. Okay. Should we call it there?
We should. We
Cool.
should.
We have hit all our targets. That's our technical breakdown of F1 2026. We had to do it because I can't help myself. But also, it was kind of fun if you were listening to the whole thing.
Except for the Russell part, but yeah.
Especially the Russell part. And hopefully we'll be back with you, what did we say, Thursday maybe?
Yeah, a couple of days out. Yeah, we'll go back into the driver carousel, aka silly season, aka will Max be in Mercedes,
Exactly.
aka will George stay at Mercedes,
Let's be honest.
or go to Aston Martin,
let's be honest. That's all it's going to
Haas,
be.
Or
Yes, Max at Haas.
If Max, you're so good, do it in a Haas. Do it in a Haas.
Yes,
There you go.
indeed. So as usual, please like, please subscribe, please leave us comments. We will read every single one. We'll reply to as many as we possibly can. We are loving these lives. We're loving the chats we're having. This is actually such a cool chat. There's no hate. There's no toxicity. This is just people that love Formula One.
Yet.
Bring it. But I think this is the community we've got, and I love it. I love the community we have, and we'll keep doing these lives as long as we can keep doing them. And we will see you guys